So we'll understand a few theory component about WebDriver, and then we'll go for mostly API. So WebDriver APIs, we'll understand the WebDriver API, and we'll see the difference between Selenium 3 and 4, and what are the latest versions. So we'll discuss. So what changes has occurred in 3 and 4, and yeah, that's important. We should know that. And every version, there are a lot of changes are happening. We'll discuss so the latest version, and we'll write a small program. So let's see first. If you go to pages, you have WebDriver architecture. You can see here. So go here, and you can find all the WebDriver introduction and architecture. Okay. So what is automation testing, and what are their advantages, and when you can go for automation, when you should not go for automation? These are some of the theoretical questions we should understand. So automation testing is a process of, writing a repeatable steps using the software technology and using some tool. So basically your day-to-day daily activities can be handled instead of doing manual activities. You can do them so with the tool easily. So that's the automation testing means. Basically, to do a regression testing, this automation testing will help you. What are the advantages? And it's basically efficiency of the so efficiency will be improved automatically. So if you have a automation test cases, so they will execute very faster than doing manually, right? And also, if you do proper coding, right? If you do proper coding, and that really helps. That really helps you to save time and also accurate. So that's the first thing. Second, repeatability. So when there is a daily you want to do same tasks, and that's going to be bored for the manual testing, right? So you can get some relief. You can concentrate on other new features if you have a automation testing for the repeatable steps that are daily so used scenarios. You can automate, and so that really helps you. So or any bugs comes also, it will easily catch. And coverage. So if you write more number of test cases, and you can execute them in a shorter period, instead of manual execution. So automation testing takes very less time, and also you can cover more areas with automation in the less time, and easily you can catch the bugs. That's coverage is increased, and you can say so that area looks good and working fine. So reliability, automation testing can be more reliable than manual testing. So you know that it is so not more error prone, right? So it's very less error prone if you write a automation code effectively. So that's the advantages of automation. And so when you need to go for automation, right? So when there is a complexity of your application, so when you have a so very complex application, like more more components, more modules are there, and large number of test cases are there, and lengthy project. always good for take up as automation for that project. And second advantage is frequency. So application, so that you want to test very frequently because of more rapid releases and changes are happening, and such cases it's always better to automate such kind of applications. So repeatability, applications that have a test cases, so need to be run multiple times with the consistent results, and then that means you want to do more regression testing. So such kind of applications are. So those are ideal candidate for automation testing. And the risk, right? So more risk-based applications are there. And so if one area, if we change, it is going to affect many areas. Such kind of scenarios, you can easily go for automation so that you can reduce the risk. So cost, suppose so automation testing is a little bit expensive to set up and maintain those manual testing, right? So you can with less resources you can do automation. But every application there are a lot of different components will be there. So you can do automation with effectively with less cost, because it reduces the number of resources. Basically, that's the main advantage of the automation. So when you should not go for automation? So when the application is still in the early stage of development, so automation testing, you should not do that, because the application is still under development and it's not ready, and you should not go for automation. So until at least one round of manual testing should be completed and it is stable, then you can go for automation. Otherwise, it's not suggestible to go for automation. It's under development and more changes are happening. Better to wait until it is stable. That's our first point. And second point, so when the application is a short lifespan, so automation testing, so not necessary, right? So if it is a less time and this project won't continue a longer period, then no need to go for automation. Just manual testing is more than sufficient. Shorter projects, shorter time projects, manual testing is more sufficient, because automation testing, it will take some time if you want to build and maintain. So that's why, so always shorter projects, manual testing is so good enough. When the application has a complex user interfaces, so when the application has a complex user interface, so automation testing is so again be challenging. So with the complex user interfaces, like you have more graphs, dynamically changing graphs, and values are also dynamically changing. In such cases, it's a difficult to automate. So you can do that, but it's a bit complex. Okay, so that's one another reason when you should not go for automation. So you need more manual testing than automation, so better not to go for automation testing. So you better go with the manual testing mode. So when the application has a low risk of defects, so then better not to go for automation. So these are all the few points, at least try to give, and that really helps you. These are some of the questions they will ask very rarely, but no, better to have some idea on that. So what are the different Selenium components? We have three components already we discussed. One is Selenium WebDriver, Selenium IDE, Selenium Gradle. So these are the three components. As you know, Selenium WebDriver is a collection of language bindings and which drives the application, and that is called a Selenium WebDriver. Basically, it provides a common interface for interacting with the different browsers, and it allows developers to write scripts in different programming languages so that you can run your automation test cases on any browser. So same test script will run on any browser, just you need to change the object. So which browser you need to run, that browser you can create object, and then your test script will run on that browser. So that is the about Selenium WebDriver. So Selenium ID, we already know. Selenium ID is a uh, basically it's a record and playback tool, and you can plug to any browser and open that and record the user interactions with the browser. Then you can run it back. So that's a Selenium IDE. Selenium IDE is a Selenium integrated development environment. It's a browser extension. It's a record and playback tool. So record and playback tool. And it's a record and playback tool. And you can record your user interactions with the application and save it, and you can run it back. That's a Selenium IDE tool. But a real time you won't use much, just for object identification you can use. And mostly you will use Selenium WebDriver only. So this is the component we are going to use to write our automation scenarios. So what is Selenium Grid? So basically, so this is the tool, so which allows the automation testers to run your automation test cases parallelly on different machine and browser combination you can run. So different machines, multiple browsers and platforms you can run easily with Selenium Grid. So you can use to improve the efficiency of the testing by it will reduce the execution time, right? When you run parallelly, obviously execution time will be reduced, and also parallel execution is very important because your feature is keep on increasing, test cases will keep on adding such cases, and so your test cases increases means the time also increases if you run one after the other. So then how can you reduce the time? So this is the common challenge in every company. So you have to make sure all independent test cases run parallelly and different machine and browser combination, so that it will save time, and also you can save the resources and time and everything. So that's advantage with the Selenium Grid. Selenium, what you need to answer? Selenium Grid is a distributed environment, so which can be used to run your automation test cases parallelly with less execution time. And you can run the automation test case using multiple browser operating system combination. So that means a browser compatibility and operating system compatibility you can achieve with the Selenium Grid. So that's all about Selenium 3 components you can explain. So as we mentioned, what is Selenium WebDriver? So Selenium WebDriver, so as I mentioned in the beginning, let's say a collection of language bindings which drives the browser. Which browser you are running, that browser will be so going to execute your automation test case easily. And so what are the different browsers you have? Like we have Chrome, Firefox, Opera, Safari, Edge. These are the different browsers. You can run any of the browsers, this Selenium WebDriver test cases. And also, Selenium WebDriver is going to support multiple browsers, multiple operating systems, multiple programming languages, and multiple frameworks. And this is all the features of Selenium WebDriver you can answer. So why Selenium is popular? So what is the reason for using Selenium? Why it is so popular? So because it's an open source tool, free of cost. It's a free of cost. You don't need to pay anything, right? That's a first advantage. And Selenium supports multiple browsers. Selenium supports multiple operating systems. Selenium supports multiple programming languages. Selenium supports multiple built-in frameworks like a JUnit, TestNG for Java programming language. If you are using a Java programming language, you can use JUnit and TestNG frameworks, unit testing frameworks. And next we have C#, you have NUnit framework. Python, you have PyTest framework. Like that, language-wise, you have different frameworks. Like JavaScript, you have Mocha. So these are the different frameworks you can use to write a more effective test cases. And also, so we covered already this multiple browser support, open source, multiple language support, and yeah, good community support is there. Suppose you got an error with a Selenium tool, who will solve it? So the Google, took this as a charge, and it is going to help you if you get any bugs also. You can report the defects, and you can get it solved by Google team. That's the one of the component. And also, so you can integrate Selenium WebDriver with other tools like Selenium IDE, Selenium Grid, so Selenium Server. So you can integrate these things with the Selenium WebDriver. And also you have same protocol where you will be there. That's a APM is for mobile application testing. You can use APM tool for mobile application testing. So Selenium is a very powerful tool. That's why it is becoming very, very popular. And also it will continue because they are keep on adding a lot of changes every year. So they're making changes. So that's advantage with the Selenium WebDriver. And what is the difference between WebDriver and remote control? Remote control is a previous version of Selenium WebDriver. First 1.0. Selenium 1.0 is nothing but Selenium remote control. Now, once the remote control code is merged in the WebDriver, from that day onwards, it is a Selenium 2.0. Then Selenium remote control code is completely deprecated. That's the They supported a few days because so everybody cannot migrate immediately, right? So that's why they still tool is available. You can use it. You can use it. There is no problem at all. So if you use, and you should be aware of all the different concepts. So, but methods are a little bit changed from remote control to WebDriver, but most of them. So it's a similar name. That's the main difference between WebDriver and the remote control. So WebDriver is faster than any other tool, and remote control is slower because of its complicated architecture. And WebDriver directly talks to the browser, whereas remote control needs the help of remote control server. So in order to talk with any browser. So WebDriver API is more concise. RC API are duplicate ones and confusing. Okay. And WebDriver supports HTML unit browser, and RC doesn't support HTML unit browser. So WebDriver supports mobile application testing like Android and iPhone, and RC doesn't support. So then we have a WebDriver supports multiple programming languages. RC also supports. And WebDriver, so it supports mobile application testing like Android and iPhone, and RC doesn't support mobile application testing. And so WebDriver supports multiple programming languages like Java, Ruby. So these are the common features. Unique features still here. Remaining all are common features. Same programming language here also supported. Multiple browsers also supported by Selenium WebDriver, and so it doesn't support Ghost and Edge browser by remote control, and remaining other browsers will be supported. So WebDriver basically supports multiple operating system. RC also supports. So WebDriver supports multiple built-in frameworks like JUnit, TestNG, NUnit, unit testing, PyTest. All these different programming languages are available. So RC supports built-in frameworks. So custom frameworks you cannot use. Any questions? Questions? Okay, let's move on. So what are the different limitations of WebDriver? So WebDriver doesn't have any built-in commands to generate the automation test result file. That's one concern. WebDriver report is very bad because so WebDriver directly doesn't have a HTML file. So you need to depend on some third-party tools. And which scenarios you cannot automate using WebDriver. So like a bitmap comparison is not possible using Selenium WebDriver. So automating captcha is not possible using Selenium WebDriver. We cannot read a barcode using Selenium WebDriver. So that's all the which scenarios you cannot automate and which scenarios you can automate and their limitations. And architecture of Selenium WebDriver 4.0. Selenium WebDriver 4.0. But architecture before going to 4.0, let's understand 3.0. So there are 4 components are there in the Selenium 3.0. One is client library, JSON wire protocol, and browser drivers. And here if you see Selenium client library, so this is the one. Client library means a different programming languages. And JSON wire protocol, browser drivers. These browser drivers are also called HTTP servers. And real browsers also there. So those are, Google Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Safari, Opera, all these are different browsers. So that's the different but how? So what is Selenium client libraries and language bindings are doing? So basically Selenium supports multiple programming languages like Java, Python, C#, Ruby, and etc. So Selenium developers have developed the different bindings based on the interface WebDriver type. So that's this concept. So even JSON wire protocol over HTTP client. So JSON stands for JavaScript object notation. It is used to transfer data between a server and a client on the web. So that is the JSON wire protocol. Basically, the communication. So between this client and the server, it will act as a It will act as communication bridge between the 2 layers. So that's the Selenium. So JSON wire protocol will help you to communicate with the 2 different systems. So browser drivers. Each browser contains separate browser driver. So browser driver communicate with the respective browsers without revealing internal logic. Right? That's interface concept, obviously, right? So that is the another component. And browsers. So browsers is basically a real browsers. So you have browser driver classes and real browsers also. Real browsers is basically you open your application. So that is dynamically going to change, right, every time. And at the same time, we have different, so which browser you want to run, you can run them. So all these browsers it will be supported. So basically when you do in the Selenium 3.0, please observe, because we need to understand Selenium 4. This was also taking some time and they want to remove this part. Client, client and server. So this mediator also they don't want. Then this is the Selenium 3 architecture. Selenium 4 architecture, I'll show you that. Basically what will happen is when you write a code like this, driver equal to new Chrome driver dot get, and this so you can give the website. So what will happen is you're creating an object for Chrome driver. That object is referenced by a WebDriver type, that is a driver. So then it will open, and this is the code you will write generally. But this JSON, what it will do, it will convert the code into a JSON format like this. It will convert into JSON format. That JSON format, so the server can understand, the browser driver can understand that easily. So basically, let's see, you can see key value pair. So that's a JSON protocol. Okay, so that's the JSON wire protocol. Basically, when you send, when you send the action, right? Action method, that's a post call. When you get the data from the web page, that's a get call. So this is, remember, so if the request is a post request, then there is a action on the browser. So if the request is a get request, that means it is just getting the data from the web page. So that's the post and get methods. Post and get methods. So that's a Selenium 3 architecture. So what is there? Four components: client libraries, JSON wire protocol, browser drivers, real browsers. JSON. So basically, the client libraries means the code you are writing, the code you are sending to a server through a JSON wire protocol. So it's internally, you cannot see outside, but internally you will write a WebDriver equal to new Chrome driver.get. So you will write the commands like this, but internally that will convert into JSON format. That will give it to a server. That's a HTTP server. This is the HTTP server. So this HTTP server will do the action on the real browsers, and response will get back, and it will be performed the action. So this is the whole process of Selenium 3. Okay. So then, we have Selenium 4. So let's join back and we'll discuss on Selenium 4. Okay.